Greetings everyone, Mr. Steve from Pack 1421, and we are still talking Pinewood Derby. In our last video, we showed you how to prepare your axles and polish them up to get ready to race. Now we're going to shift our focus to the wheels and getting ready for our final assembly. So let's go ahead and get started. So one of the first things that you want to do after you've polished your axles is make sure you take each axle and match it to a wheel. And you want to keep that axle and wheel combination together until the wheels are installed in the car. The wheels on the right side of your car are going to spin clockwise, while the wheels on the left side of your car are going to spin counterclockwise. So you want to make sure that every time you're working with the wheels and axles that you keep that wheel and axle combination turning in the right direction. The reason for this is because as the cars race down the track, they typically max out in speed after about the third or fourth run. So what we're trying to do by matching everything up and preparing our wheels and axles is to get that third or fourth run speed in our first run. The cars are only going to race in the first round 3 times, which is once in each lane, at least on our track. So if it doesn't hit its max speed until the 4th run, it might not ever hit that max speed. It might not make it out of the first round. So now that you've matched up your axles and wheels, one of the first things you want to do is take that axle and wheel combo and just gently spin the wheel and look at it, okay? You want to make sure that the wheel is not wobbling and that it spins fairly straight and true. If you have a wheel that wobbles, replace it. You can buy additional wheel sets from anywhere that sells Pinewood Derby car kits. They're about $3 or $4. A wheel that wobbles, and I don't have one that I can show you as an example, is going to slow the car down. So this is the first step you want to do. And remember, always make sure that you're spinning the wheel in the direction that the car is going to travel. So in this case, this would be either a right front or a right rear wheel. If I was doing the left side, I would make sure to spin it in the opposite direction. So if you're in our pack and you've read our rules, you know there is a laundry list in there of things that you cannot do to these wheels legally. And remember, a Scout is trustworthy. So the only things that we really can do is to polish the bores, which is inside the wheel, as well as the tread of the wheel. Now, a quick note about polishing the tread. You have to get this into a Dremel tool in order to be able to polish it. And there's no really good way to do it. That's DIY. I've tried putting bolts with felt and rubber to try and hold that wheel in a Dremel tool, and regardless of what I've done, it damages the wheel in some way, shape, or form. So I will very rarely recommend that you buy something, but I actually broke down and bought what's called the Pro Wheel Mandrel from Derby Works. It secures the wheels very nicely. It's specifically designed to hold the wheels. The only issue with this is you can only get the wheel to turn in one direction because it only mounts one way, unless you put this in a drill that is reversible. So it is a helpful tool. It's come in handy for me. I recommend, especially if your son or daughter is a Tiger Scout and you're going to be doing this for a number of years, it's worth spending the $8 or $9 to get this tool. So the first thing to know is when you put the wheel in the mandrel, make sure you don't over-tighten this because you will damage the bore of the wheel. Having said that, once you've got the mandrel chucked in your Dremel or drill, all you really need again is a paper towel. Put some graphite on that paper towel, turn the tool on low speed, and then just polish the wheel gently. Alternatively, you can also polish these wheels or these treads by hand. It's just going to take you more time to actually polish the tread and get the graphite embedded into the tread of the wheel, but it can be done, and it is an alternative to buying the wheel mandrel. Now, regardless of whether you polish your treads or not, you still want to polish the bore. And this is simple. You don't need any special tools. All you need is some pipe cleaners, and again, your trusty drill or Dremel tool. You're going to take a small piece of pipe cleaner about 1 inch long, and you're going to chuck just the end of that in your tool. You're going to get a lot of graphite on that pipe cleaner. The tricky part of this is now you want the wheels to face. If you're holding the tool in your left hand, you want the wheel to face the way it's going to face on the car as the car's going away from you. So remember, this wheel being on the front of the car is going to turn counterclockwise. So we want to make sure that we have the tool inserted this way for a wheel that's on the left side of the car versus this way for the wheel on the right side of the car. Make sure that any wire that's here is through. You don't want that scratching the inside. Again, low speed, and just turn the tool on and polish it with graphite. Again, you don't want to go longer than about 30 seconds on this before you stop add more graphite, and do it. Do this about 3 times per wheel to get the bore nice and polished. Now, when you're installing these on the body, you're going to be tempted to use a hammer to tap them into place. Don't do that because that will damage your wheel. It will damage your axle. The best practice is just to press the wheel in as hard as you can. If you have to, you can use some leverage and put the wheel down on something. Just make sure that you don't push the wheel too close to the body. Again, you're trying to keep that axle as straight as possible. You don't want to damage this wheel. So here's a quick tip about installing the wheels on the car. Take an index card, fold that index card in half, and cut a little notch in it that's big enough to let the axle go into. This is going to give you a little bit of space between the bore of the wheel and the car body, allowing the wheel to freely spin. You don't want those wheels pinched up against the body. You want enough space so also that the wheel is free and clear to spin as it needs to. So in our next video, we're going to talk a little bit about fine-tuning the car and aligning the car to get it to go as straight as possible down the track. And we'll also talk lightly about some rail riding techniques as well as three-wheeling techniques, all of which are legal in most Scout classes, including our own. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. She's my little scoop. You know